أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام وأشرف المرسلين وخاتم النبيين أحمد مجتبى قاسمي محمد مصطفى وعلى طيب الطاهرين صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا مولاي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا مولاي يا عبد الله يا رحمة الله وسيا ويا بابا نجاة الأمة فليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوذا فوضا عظيم إنا لله وإنا عليه راجعون صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
What do we get out of the tragedy of Karbala, all the events that happened before? When we look at this word that's called modesty, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? As Muslim women, the first thing that comes to our mind is hijab. As Muslim men, the first thing that comes to our mind is hijab. But is this all that it is? That is hijab? Or is this word more than that? Is this word connected to a whole lifestyle, in fact? Of course, if you said yes, this is true. When we think about hijab, it's a whole lifestyle. It's not just modesty of covering the head, but it's modesty of actions. It's modesty of thoughts. It's modesty what's come out your mouth. It is the whole package. We should know that when someone has this type of thing, modesty, that they are heedful of Allah. That means they're always in thought of Allah or conscious of Allah. They always know that Allah is watching them. Not only that, when people have this type of characteristic of modesty, they also stay away from sin and disobedience. They stay far away from these things. Because hijab is a guard. Modesty is a guard that keeps you away from all these things. So in other words, what is modesty? Modesty is exactly what the Imam said it was, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He said modesty is the means of all beauty. So when a person has modesty, that is a form and all types of means of beauty. It is beautiful when a person has this characteristic. But of course, when we talk about society and we ask them what is modesty, it is the total opposite. They make it seem like modesty is something that is prehistoric, barbaric, unheard of. Allah Jalla, He tries to bring us towards modesty. Because when you have modesty, you will not go out there and do lewd acts. Because what is modesty. The lowest form of modesty, or what brings a person towards, is taqwa of Allah. A person goes towards, once they have modesty, they go towards taqwa of Allah. And then once they go towards taqwa of Allah, they go to the highest level, and where they almost see Allah, but no, they don't see Allah. Because they are always conscious of Allah being present wherever they are. This is modesty. We put modesty in a bottle and say it is just this. It's not hijab. I know many women that wear hijab is horrible people. I know many men that say they wear hijab is horrible people. It's more to that. We have to understand something. That modesty and faith are intertwined with one another. And it said that if you lose one, you lose the other. So when you have modesty, you have faith, you have iman. They're together. So when you lose one, you lose the other. You know, when people don't have this, they don't have faith, they don't have iman, they do whatever they please. Like, like whatever, I don't care. We see it every day in front of us. It's playing in front of us like a television show. Oh, astaghfirullah. Oh. All the time. We give an example of somebody that had no modesty. You ever heard of this woman named Zuleika? We're not talking about Zuleika that might live around our neighborhood. This Zuleika, she tried to tempt who? Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. When she was following and trying to get the lewdness from, or trying to do lewdness to him, Prophet Yusuf noticed something. As she was going, she had a cloth. And with this cloth, she covered up something. So Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he said, what did you cover up? She said, oh, I covered up my God. He said, why did you do that? She said, I do not want the idol to see what I'm about to do. He said, wait a minute. He said, if you are going to cover up an idol, wood item that cannot help you or see, please, how do you think I feel about this was about to happen from the God that sees what did you want me to do? In other words, he showed that he had modesty. And he showed that she had none of it. We have to understand, modesty prevents ugly actions. Modesty prevents us from doing ugly actions. It was funny. I remember reading a book. It was the Muwatta of Ibn Malik, right? And it was a hadith that said, you had no shame, then you'll pray with your arms folded. You had no shame, you do this. Because it's the same thing. You have no shame, you do whatever, right? You do whatever with no shame. You will not stay away from the ugly of sin. You will run towards that and think nothing of it. And what happened is that when we have faith, we know where that takes us. Faith takes us far. Not just around the corner, down the street, but very far. I think I said it. I said, I think it might have been a couple lectures ago, how that if you lose the worst thing you could ever lose is your faith. This riwayah, this hadith, this is the worst thing you could ever lose is that. So imagine when you lose your modesty, you lose modesty that's intertwined to faith, because one after the other goes. Because if you have iman, you go to paradise. But if you lose all this, what do you have? You have nothing. There's nothing for you. But do we ever think this way? Modesty is something that should be taught from a very young age. Not just from when we get older. This is something that should be taught from the beginning. For the women, we should look at the example of modesty of Fatima Az-Zahra, sallallahu alayha. We think of the time when Rasulullah was talking to the blind man, and what happened, Fatima? She went behind the curtain. Rasulullah asked her, why did you go behind the curtain? He can't see you. He said, but I see him. We think of the modesty that we have of Rasulullah and all the male of Ahlul Bayt and what they have done. We take them as examples. This is why Allah He said Rasulullah is the best of characters, the best one for us to find when it comes down to character. He didn't say that Rasulullah was okay to follow. He said he's the best. He's the best morals. The best one to teach us this certain thing that's called modesty, so we will not be shamed or be shameless. Because if you are shameless, you do whatever you want without no thinking of it. He said, I have no shame. I do it. I said, I have no shame. I just do it. Because you have no modesty. Because a person that has modesty will run away from that. Because they feel shame in the sight of Allah Subhanahu. They know that Allah Subhanahu is constantly seeing them. They know that this is not something that is good. But what happened is, we don't feel shame in front of Allah, modest in front of Allah Subhanahu. We feel shameful in front of the man in front of us. How can you do this in front of everybody? You see how they're going to look at me now. Why did you do this? The people are going to talk about me. Now I have to go here and people are going to look at me funny because of this. The person feels shame in front of the people. Is this the correct way? Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam, said, if you feel shameful in front of the people, you do not feel shameful in front of Allah Subhanahu. He said you must feel shameful in privacy the same way that you feel shameful in front of the people. Because that's what happens. The people, they feel ashamed in front of the people. But when it comes down to feel shame in front of Allah Subhanahu, they have no shame. When they by themselves, they do whatever they please. Because they feel that no one sees them. And they only worry about the people seeing them. They don't worry about Allah Subhanahu seeing them. So there's no shame with them committing the sins. It's like, it's the funny thing. A person, you look around and say, nobody see me. He walk into the bar. Right? He walk in the bar. He come out, nobody see me. He go to the masjid. Oh man, I saw Abdullah, he was in the bar. Nobody asked the guy that saw Abdullah in the bar why he was in the bar too, right? They just said, nobody asked that. They just know that Abdullah was in the bar. They don't say, well, how do you know he was in the bar? You was in the bar too? Right? Nobody asked that. But these people, they feel shit, they have no shame. They go to these places and they indulge in all types of acts that is not correct. All the shameful acts. We can think of, let's see, Allah tells us not to eat the raw meat, right? Let's see, women wear hijab, men to be modest, the Lord engages, all these type of things. We could go on and on and on. Go on and on with these things. So when we look at modesty, we see that modesty is a complete thing. It's not just one small thing, as we may try to put it as. Oh, modesty, first thing we go to the women and say, oh, you must have modesty. Astaghfirullah, wear hijab, wear hijab, wear hijab, show modesty, show modesty. And you don't show modesty. And I always find it funny, you know, like a lot of times you see a guy, his wife, he got niqab on, right? She got he don't have niqab, sorry, woo! She got niqab on, got gloves, socks, sunglasses. He got on tank top shorts. Like, wait a minute. Oh, show modesty. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's supposed to be a boat, like a two-way street here. How come she all dressed like this and you look like you're going to the beach? What's the problem? You also have to be an example. If you tell her how to be modest, you also yourself have to be modest. You cannot tell her to be this way and you're not this way. Do you enjoy righteous conduct on people, but yet you do not practice yourself? That's what Allah's Jalla, he tells us, right? You're enjoying it, but you don't enjoy it yourself. What you do is say, ah! You. But what about me? We're not talking about me right now. We're talking about you. Don't try to change the subject. What happened? But when you are a person that have modesty, it doesn't matter who tells you about doing something wrong, you will not listen to them. You're like, no, this is not correct. You are referring to Ahlul Bayt. You're referring to Rasulullah. You're referring to Quran. And you see, is this correct? You don't refer to the nafs. How I feel. Well, I feel, I should do it. That's how I feel. I understand what you're saying, but how I feel is that I should do this. I'll take it up with Allah later. Like Allah is your friend from around the way, right? He was like, listen, Allah, I'm going to tell you right now, right? I understand you created the heavens and the earth and all that's here, but look, when it comes to this, can't do it, this is how I feel, you got to take a leave, Allah. This is how we react. Just like this. But no, it don't go that way. Allah Ta'ala, he put down these laws and rules to make us better people. This is why Allah Ta'ala sent down prophets, he sent down imams, to make us better people, to make us moralistically better people, so we could be above the angels when it comes down to worship. Allah does not want us to be like animals. We know what animals do. Animals follow their own Lord desires. But those who are above angels, what we do, every moment of our life we think about Allah Jalla. Every moment of our life we worship Allah Jalla. Every moment of our life we think of how we can worship Allah even more. Because of that modesty, it gives faith, and that faith increases in our heart. And as it increases, and it increases, and it increases, and our heart becomes softer and softer and softer, we become better and better and better, and we start raising up in degrees and degrees and degrees, and mashallah, we get on such a high level that we do not even think about sinning. You said, wait a minute, think about sinning? That's deep, because the difference of acting on sins, some people don't even think about sinning. Think about it. You say, no, I don't sin. Well, do you think about sinning? No, sometimes, Get to a level you don't even think about sinning at all. Inshallah. Going back to that other part about how we refer to those who guide us for guidance. Of course, this is disclaimer, no offense to any physicians, but this is just a hadith or story which I found, all right? So if any doctor said, oh, Mulana, talking bad, you're telling people not to listen to me. No, it's just a story, just in case. Disclaimer. One time, Abu Bashir, right? He was with Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, and he was sitting with him. And we know that, he said that he was one of the Imam's companions, right? So a lady came, and she asked, she said, oh, Imam, I need, and they asked you a question. Said, I have a disease, and a doctor from Iraq, he told me for me to take alcohol for my disease. What should I do, Imam? Now, when we think of this, what would you think to do? If the doctor tells us to take alcohol, how would our reaction be? When we go to the Malana, when we refer to a hadith, we would say, well, the doctor said it, and we sip on some, what's they call that, Jack Daniels or something, right? Nobody knows, and that's it, right? That's what happened. So the Imam, he said to her, he said, why you didn't do it, right? That wasn't saying that he's not saying you should do it, he just said, so why you didn't do it? Now listen what she said. She said, you are my Imam. If you tell me to do it, then I will do it. Because tomorrow, on the day of judgment, if Allah asks me why, I'll say my Imam told me to do it. Inshallah. And people will think like that. It's showing that this lady has modesty, and not only that, Iman. Man. I'm going to jump aside. He said to her, do not drink the alcohol because alcohol is haram. I forbid you from doing it. When he said, oh, Abu Bashir, just look, Abu Bashir, look at this lady. How she referred to me, referred to her imam, to see if it is correct. To see what she was doing was correct. She referred to the imam. This is a beautiful thing. How she did not want to sacrifice nothing, her modesty, or affect her faith by drinking alcohol to help her, even though the doctor said that she should do it. How many of us would do this? How many of us would think this way? Of course, the first thing we said, well, the physicians, you know better than us, we're just going to do it. And please, physicians, I'm not talking down about this is how deep, so please don't get mad at me when I go outside and say, Astaghfirullah, Shaykh, I'm a physician, I've been doing it for 30 years, I know best, you know what you're talking about. It's not me, I'm just reiterating the hadith from the imam, that's all it is, right? Just saying that. But just look at this. Why is it that we find that all religions have a natural deposition. And the natural deposition of Islam is modesty. That is the natural deposition. That is the fitrah. Modesty is the fitrah of Islam. It's the fitrah of Islam. It's just that simple. It's not complicated. If we look at Islam, what Allah is bringing us towards? Don't have to be all at once. Modesty, right? Yeah. He's bringing us towards that. But when we go against that, and we go against the nature which Allah has put into us, that nature of wanting to be better people, we go against that. What happens? We go against that natural fitrah, right? But then we try to justify it. Is this correct? No. Not at all. This is not correct at all. We find that when every time a person does not or do or go against this modesty, they always try to justify it with something that is off the wall that make no entire sense whatsoever. When you hear a woman say, I don't want to wear hijab, say, oh, it's not in the Quran. I said, wait a minute, Allah said, and draw down the veils into your bosom and do not show your ornaments. What does that mean? What does this word himam mean? To draw down. There had to be something on their head for them to draw down already. They said, oh, it's nothing there. When they coming towards the man and tell the Lord's gauge, they said, oh, there's no, you know what just made me remind myself? I was in the barber shop. I used to go to a Muslim barber, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And when you see an act, you would think that as Muslims, we would have some type of modesty, especially men. So I'm in the barber shop getting a haircut, and a woman walks by. And when the barber was Muslim, he started looking at her, right? But how he looked at her was just wrong. He was like this. Then he go to the hadith. Oh, if you have one stare, it's now haram. I said, wait a minute. If you stare that long, it is haram. You lusting over this sister. Show no type of modesty. Is this correct? No, it's not correct. This is not modesty. But she just saw the stare. His stare was so hot. He could have burned her clothes off with his eyes. If his eyes have laser beams, she would have no clothes on. This is crazy. So even when men were told to lower our gaze, to show modesty, to be modest, it is not a one-way street. It is a two-way street. That Allah wants both male and female to be modest. Right? Because modesty is the way for man and woman's salvation. It is the road towards the salvation. If you think that's not the way to go towards salvation, please tell me. I'm waiting. Let me know. Is there another way? Because, Muslim, Rasulullah, Ahlul Bayt, you know, they have a good track record of guiding people for about over 1,400 years. You know, please let me know, you might know something that they don't know, which I doubt. What is it? Oh, not only that, Allah told us to follow him also, and he didn't tell us to follow you. And yeah, I understand you might have PhDs and MBAs and all that stuff, and yeah, I see no hadith saying to follow you, you know. I don't see that you are, part of, Kulayni, right? Okay, yeah, I understand that you might have wrote a paper and everything, but you're not Masoom, you're not perfect, right? So, in other words, whenever they try to bring us towards it, they tell us that we must be modest, we must go towards that, we must follow that, we must listen to them, adhere to them. Not only once we adhere to it, make sure it sinks into our hearts and becomes a habit. Because once it becomes a habit, it becomes something that is natural to us, that we will not think about it. It was just something that comes to us. That's what happened. It'd be natural to us. It'd be nothing to us. That's what it's supposed to be. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Do anybody think I'm wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misunderstood these things, because I'm not the, what's that word they say? The sharpest pen and the pencil and the, I don't know, they be saying all types of stuff. But anyway, but if I was it? Am I wrong about this? No, I don't think so. I think Ahlul Bayt is clear about this. About trying to bring us towards this. Because once you have faith, it brings you towards paradise. You have no faith, it brings you towards hell. You have no modesty, then you lose the iman. If you have modesty, you have iman. You have to each other together. One will not leave each other. If one leave the other, then both will leave. This all makes practical sense. You see that modesty, as he said, is beauty. You see that modesty is the keys to he said modesty is the key to all good things. You see, modesty prevents people from evil or ugly things. You see, modesty does all this. It prevents us from all of this. Modesty. Maybe I might have beat the horse a little bit too much now. Maybe I should move on, you think? Possibility. But let's think about something. When we think about Karbala, we think about all the martyrs. We think about all the martyrs. Because each of them showed us something. One of the martyrs in which they had, his name was John bin Kulayni. Have you ever heard of John? John actually was an Ethiopian. He was an Ethiopian slave that actually Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam gave him to Abu Dhar. And Abu Dhar actually freed him. Once Abu Dhar was exiled, he went and lived with Amir al-Mu'mineen. And as John was living with Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam, Ali taught him the tafsir of Quran and the science of Hadith. And it said that this person, John, who was from Abyssinia, actually was a hafiz of Quran. See, he was a hafiz of Quran. Ethiopian, Abyssinia at the time. Nowadays, Ethiopia. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. They say he was very old. They say he was old. They say about 90 years old. They say he was old. But not only that, when he was with Amir al-Mu'mineen taught him. He took him as a companion. After Amir al-Mu'mineen, he went with Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Then after Imam Hassan, he went and he lived with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And they say he never left Imam Hussein. So they said that before Imam Hussein was going towards to leave Medina, that John went along with him. Because you know John, if you think about John, actually had a background at being Christian. He was a Christian, then he became Muslim. Inshallah. So they said, at the battlefield of Karbala, it was John and 60 other free or unfree slaves that was from Abyssinia. It was Abyssinia, Ethiopia, as I said before. It was there with Imam Hussein from Abyssinia. They said the night before Ashura, John was sharpening his knife or his sword. Wanted to fight. All night he was sharpening his sword. See, John was very respected because he was a man of knowledge. Remember, Muhammad had taught him all these sciences. Taught him Quran, taught him Quran, taught him Hadith. He was very, very intelligent. But he also knew that he had to be with his Imam. And it said the whole time that he was in Karbala, you found John right next to Imam Hussein. He did not leave his side. This is what the story said. They said at the time of when he wanted to fight, he went towards Imam Hussein and he stood in front of Imam Hussein and he had his arms crossed. They say he had a habit of not speaking until the Imam would speak first. If the Imam speak, then he would speak. He would never speak before the Imam. He showed the Imam much respect. Remember, he was a free slave that was from Abyssinia, that was taught, he was learned. He'd been amongst Ahlul Bayt for a very long time. From Imam Ali Islam all the way to Imam Hussein. So he knew. So Imam Hussein Islam, he said to him, how can I deny you the fact of martyrdom? It is. Imam said, how can I deny you the fact of being a shuhada? Imam did not. They said that John, he went out there, and as he was going out there fighting, he was constantly reciting poetry the whole time he was fighting. He said, I am a soul who is willing to die for Allah. And my soul thirsts for the blood of the enemies of Allah. They said that the Imam, he kept on saying that the whole time. I am a soul that's willing to die for Allah. And my soul thirsts for the blood of the enemies of Allah. As he fought and he killed people on his horse, he constantly was saying the poetry over and over and over non-stop as he was fighting for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We find that John was from somewhere else and he was willing to sacrifice his life for Imam Hussein because he had that love for the Imam. He was not even Arab. He was not from Quraysh or any of these other places. He was a person who came from far away and was free and fell in love with Ahlul Bayt. And wanted to die for Ahlul Bayt.
Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
He wanted to die for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. To give his life. He had no problem. And the Imam was not going to stop him from going out there and fighting. And when he went out there and was fighting on his horse, he took down many of people, as well as the other 16 other Ethiopian people that fought with Imam Hussein. They also gave their life for the Imam. People that was from a distant land. They said that John fought and fought and fought and said the poetry over and over until they knocked him off his horse, and he was still saying poetry and still trying to fight while he was off his horse, laying on the ground until they silenced him when he was not able to say no more poetry because they took his life. The poetry that I am a soul that's willing to die for Allah. And my soul thirsts for the blood of Jalla, are we the ones who will come from far to do the same as how John ibn Huway did for our beloved Imam? Are we? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal 'asr. Innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. وآخر دعوانا والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى على محمد وعلى الطاهرين يا حسين
Say,